president. Call him differently. Deputy president, the secretary general. I don't know where the SG is sitting. I can't see him. Where? Oh yeah. DSG, TG, members of the War Council, members of the Central Command Team, the leadership of Telkom. They are our biggest sponsor, and they deserve to be mentioned. And we also salute all of you who contributed your money through buying tables. We salute the leadership of the province, the capable chairperson Mandisa, and our regions are here. All leaders of the EFF from legislatures and parliament. Your contribution to this gathering today, it's a contribution to multi-party democracy. Because if you do not help small parties, we run a risk of having a situation where there are two parties in South Africa contesting elections. And if we do so, would have defeated the ambition of those who have written our constitution. Their ambition has always been that in South Africa we should have a multi-party democracy as opposed to having two-party or one-party system. And therefore, when you contribute your money, not only to the EFF, but to all registered political parties, you are helping to ensure that the multi-party democracy in South Africa continues to exist. Because if it's only two parties or one party, they can always find each other on the sideline and bury transparency. But when there are many parties participating in a democratic system, we know that it will be impossible to buy all political parties. If you do not support parties like the EFF, we run a risk of all parties in South Africa being owned by the likes of Rupert, who have the money to buy everything that moves in this country. Now, one day, our spokesperson was relaxed somewhere, and a person approached him and said, "I've been sent by a sister of Johan Rupert to come and make contact with the leadership of the EFF. And if you agree to this meeting, surely there will be some benefits to it." And the spokesperson of the EFF responded and said, "Can you please tell the Ruperts that at least in South Africa there must be a party which they do not control? Because there will be a problem if they control all the parties and let that party be the EFF." And I found that response to be very profound. Because the likelihood is that the Ruperts have got everyone except the EFF. So we are the only organization that can fight unashamedly the white monopoly capital. And tomorrow we'll be unveiling the manifesto, which will outline how we're going to crush the white monopoly capital. We are a party that fights for black people, and therefore we do not apologize about that. We do not want to be included in the current arrangement We want to crush the current arrangement and introduce a completely new system which will benefit the people of South Africa. Before we do that tomorrow, we'll give an analysis of the current situation and what are the problems confronting South Africa. We ought to do that to remind ourselves of the problems that we are confronted with. Many times, Chair, when we go to elections, our people forget what are the problems. They know the problems. For some reason, even in areas where they banned tires, banned schools, demanded all types of things, when they get an opportunity to correct the situation by voting correctly, they repeat a mistake of returning the same party. So that's why it's important from time to time, when we go to elections, we ought to remind ourselves as to what are the challenges confronting South Africa. We are not part of CODESA. And AfriForum makes this point all the time. It says the ANC is betraying the agreement we have reached with them by wanting to introduce the new things which are not in the sunset clauses. So we, in our manifesto tomorrow, we're doing away with sunset clauses because we must give life to sunrise clauses. It can't be sunset forever. The sun must rise at some point. Kwame Nkrumah put it correctly when he said, the political power without economic emancipation is meaningless. And therefore, we want a total emancipation of our people by ushering in economic emancipation. So, the Boers gave you political freedom and the right to vote because they knew they don't lose anything out of that. But they will never give you the right to own the means of production because they know that what we have been fighting for since the time of the struggle, it has been the ownership of property in South Africa. So what happened in 1912? It was the demand for the return of the stolen property. It was never about voting. So if you think by getting across we have achieved what we've been fighting for, then you're lost. You do not know what our people fought for. Our people have always fought for the return of the stolen property. And we are continuing with that struggle. So tomorrow we'll deal with issues of land, we'll deal with issues of jobs, we'll deal with issues of corruption. But coupled with corruption is the issue of incompetence. There are a lot of people who don't steal anything. They are just incompetent. They don't steal. They just don't do anything. Maybe these ones who steal, they are better because at least we fight with them that they stole. But people are just occupying positions and they don't deliver anything. People earn fat salaries, extremely fat, still don't deliver services. There's only one institution which is run very effective in South Africa, and I will shock you. That institution is called the media. It's the most effective institution. When they're supposed to read the news at 7 o'clock, they will be read at 7. If they are going to print, they will go to print, there will be newspaper tomorrow. Once or twice, there will be delay in some newspaper if it's collapsing. Once you see the delay in the delivery of a newspaper, you must know the crisis is coming in. That paper is collapsing. But all of you who read newspapers religiously like Dalimpof on Sundays, You must know Dali is elite. So we wakes up and open a paper and I tell him, Dali, but we can find them here on the iPad. No. I need, that text of a paper. You must touch it. Great, this guy is too old, by the way, so I must be very patient with him. So when Dali goes to look for papers on Sunday, he finds them. But there are days where Gogo goes to look for social grant and she doesn't find it. But the money is there. Some incompetent fellow decided, no, instead of putting it today, I've got other important things to do, I'll put it on some other day. A black small company collapses because some lazy fellow decided to overlook the invoice of a small company which is claiming 45,000 rand. And without that 45,000 rand, they will be out of business. Some fellow just decide to ignore that and occupy themselves with other things. Instead of paying this fellow, their job is to pay, by the way, they are not doing anything extraordinary. You wake up every morning to go and pay people and you don't pay them. And then at the end of the month, you get your salary. So we corruption and incompetence. People buy those things of tender document, some of them extremely expensive. Young black women put money together to buy a tender document. After buying a tender document, some lazy fellow wrote a wrong spec and they cancel that tender. They write a new one with a proper spec and then we must still buy again. And that was the last money we spent in buying this tender document. Somebody just decided not to do his or her job, or in doing that job, they were not so competent. So we've got a problem with that in South Africa, and we have to deal with it. And sometimes we call it corruption. So we just say, they are corrupt, that's why they don't bring clinics. They are corrupt, that's why they don't deliver books on time. The books have been paid. Everything has been done. Somebody must go to the warehouse and deliver the books. So when you say corruption, they think you are not talking to them. They think, it's Zuma, the people like Zuma, corruption. And they are correct because they have not stolen anything. They are just sitting there in the warehouse and not deliver books. And you hammer on corruption, but there's no one who has stolen money. Everything has been done accordingly. The store manager decided to leave with the keys. Now, when we form the EFF, we cannot have the people who are working for the EFF being incompetent. Because that's what you are going to transfer into the new government. And you are going to replace a tendency with a tendency, which is wrong. So the EFF must be the most competent organization, Chair. When you say we are starting at 6, we must start at 6. I was not late. I was told I must be here at 9. So I was here at 9. So I should have received a brief that, no, we are here at 6, you must be here at 6. Because if you continue with that culture of saying this and doing something different, then you are not different from the type of administration we seek to replace. Black people must be professional and they must deliver quality, especially when it comes to business. We must make sure that we deliver quality because our failure to deliver quality is a punishment to the rest of black people. So they use your incompetency to deny other black people opportunities. But no, we tried some black here and then it couldn't work. So your black failure affects all of us. You must deliver. You cannot be a doctor on standby and go away from a hospital 200 kilometers or 2 hours away from the hospital where you are on standby. All of you here, seated here, you have been to hospital, both public and private. You must not blame only the public hospital. Most of you actually go to private ones. So let's talk about private ones. You have been to a hospital on emergency and you are told the doctor is coming. The doctor on standby is coming. The guy is going to arrive 2 hours after your arrival at the hospital. Why? This guy is in Brommerspruit and he's in Rustenburg. And he's not even ashamed to tell the chaps in Rustenburg that I'm on standby. And the chaps in Rustenburg don't condemn him that why are you on standby in Brommerspruit yet you are with us here? Because you must be closer. So we cannot have black brothers doing that. We cannot have a black lawyer not submitting heads of arguments or a simple thing of opposing. Opposing is not thesis called affidavit. No. A letter of opposing is 1 page. Sir, we are opposing. You have a black lawyer not doing that and makes us to hate all the black lawyers because we're very scared. Look at us in the EFF. Every time we pay AfriForum because we have not submitted, we are opposing. It becomes a huge embarrassment. There was a black lawyer. Lawyers always fight with me, black lawyers. You must start mentioning that lawyer because every time they suspect it's us chief. So we're all victims of your speech. Yes, you must be, because as colleagues, you must start talking to each other. Why? So everything touched by black must be proper and professional to prove these people wrong. Because their gospel is, we are not capable to deliver on anything. And we keep on proving them right, that indeed we fail to deliver. So blacks must deliver, especially when your clients are black people. You must serve them with respect, and you must do more than what is expected from you. Why? It's a sign of a self-respect. Your disregard of black people you serve is because you disrespect yourself. Because in that black person you ought to see yourself. In that black person you ought to see your mother. You ought to see your wife. You ought to see your children in these black children. And if you love your children so much, you'll quickly relate with every black child you come across. Why? They must remind you of your own children. So how you treat others, particularly your black race, it is because of how you see yourself. We are victims of your own self-hate. So start having a conversation with yourself and discover yourself so that you provide a proper service to fellow black people. We need to speak tomorrow about the issues of gender, women, lesbians and gays. We ought to speak to those points because we must explain where does the EFF stand when it comes to LGBTQI. We ought to be very clear about that. So I get a motor dauda ulemu EFF mo apere beret o kwa ufisha ka fasa beret. But I didn't get gay. The EFF must be very clear where it stands on that question. No wishy-washy. If it means costing you votes, let it cost you votes. But you ought to lose elections on principle. Don't win elections on mediocre and misleading of people. There's an issue of youth. Young people are neglected in South Africa, particularly young women. We ought to address that issue. There's a problem in South Africa of crime. We need to deal with crime. And the first step to deal with crime is to pay the police. Police are not being paid, and we're very hard on them. They're not motivated. Now, here is a man who must go and look after the chaps who were engaged in cash in transit. Haste, they stole 5 million. As he goes there, the wife calls him that the kids are chased out of school. The child is expelled from school. Anna Chelete, the cat is with Machones. He does not even have ID. I show no register and no vote. Afita Mola, Okrea Ditsotsi, it's 5 million. But Twara Singwe Sao Kise Untate, Ufit. Unana Matata. So we need to clarify the issue of how do we compensate the police, particularly those who arrest violent criminals, particularly those who bring back the stolen goods. And we need to also award the police who have done a beautiful investigation, because the problem as well is with investigation. Police arrest, the investigator is not motivated and mess up the case, and we end up saying no, police are useless, the courts are useless. The courts will not find people guilty if investigation and evidence presented before the court is not enough. So we need to compensate. So if you are an investigating officer, chair, and you investigate a case so beautifully that the bastard gets to be sent to jail for more than so many years, you must be given a bonus. Or we may tell bonus. There's a bonus everywhere where people perform well. There must be bonus of investigating officers. So we ought to deal with that. How do we deal with crime? We will not defeat crime if we've got a law enforcement which is not motivated. We ought to motivate law enforcement to deal with corruption in the law enforcement. We ought to compensate the prosecutors as well, because we need them to also be motivated. We must not forget all of those things. We don't want prosecutors who are in the payroll of Busasa. We don't want that. What more do you want, prosecutor? We're giving you money and we're giving you more money. There's no need to take anything from Busasa. And in their corner, they call you a snake. Calling an African woman a snake. You allow literally fat white males to call a beautiful African woman with brains a snake, because you have surrendered your soul to white racists. We ought to zoom in there and liberate our sisters and brothers in the prosecuting authority, that they shouldn't be in the pockets of criminals, because that too demoralizes the police. That I can do a beautiful job and all that, but you find corrupt prosecutors who connive with criminals. We must deal with those type of issues. In the EFF, we say free and compulsory education. So we need to deal with that. The free element is easy to do. The compulsory is going to be a completely new culture. We ought to start arresting people. People must go to school, and if they refuse to go to school, they must be arrested, because it's a fruitless expenditure. We've paid for your chair, we've paid for your desk, we've paid for your books, we've paid teachers to come and teach you, and you don't go to school. What must happen to that money now? So someone must be arrested. If they are too young to be arrested, the mother and the father shall decide which one is going to jail. Because early childhood development must be professionalized. It's kind of a crutch because, no, I'm now unemployed. I've never been to a crutch, but I'm opening a crutch. So we need to train those people who are going to teach in the ECD, and we must pay them salaries. They must be employed permanently on state payroll permanently with medical aid, all benefits and pension. We professionalize ECD, early childhood development. From there, we start arresting. Well, now the facilities are there. Go to school. The children of white people, if you put one here, leave you are products of apartheid, your own children now. If you put a white child here, 4 years, and you put our brother, not from Masakane, from Haute, yeah, black one. There's a huge difference. You know why? This Haute resident has got parents in Mudanzana. Every time he's supposed to take a child to school at 3. And then Dali listens to those things. And then you put the same age together. The white sounds better than ours. Because we take our children to school very late. We must take them to school at a very early age. And we must make facilities available, not to schools without toilets. Because whatever 2-3 years ago, that one is obvious. I mean, the ones who are dying now, they are in primary. Can you imagine taking children to crèche with a big toilet? You are sending them to go and die. It's not a school. Any government that says children must go and learn, especially the young ones, in a school with big toilets, they are sending them to go and die. It's as obvious as that. Before you send them into that yard, make sure it is conducive for children. Every place ought to be conducive for the relevant age. And that age cannot be sent to pit toilets. We need to deal with issues of health and human settlement. We're not building houses in South Africa. We're building glorified shacks. And that even goes against what you fought for. Because when we're fighting, you said you don't want matchbox houses. But today you are receiving Western matchbox houses. You clap hands and you end up saying Autwan. You say Autwan because they've made you to think so low of yourself, so low of black people, that anything of less quality, irrespondable Autwan. Because about Autwan, or you deserve worse. Parizami. We are anything. You must go and look at the houses given to white people during apartheid, poor white people. Even the whites who were poor were given houses during apartheid. Look at their houses, look at the size of the. We give trapped in that thing forever. Even if they go and get money to extend a house, they won't do it. There's no land. So those whites were given big houses and big land, so that in case in future your things will better pop, you've got a yacht, you will increase. Lena, you are condemned. And when I say Lena, you must never think you are better than those people in Situator. We are like them, because when we walk in Sandton or anywhere else where whites are found, we are not different from the people of Situator. We are all black. until you give them your address, they treat you differently after that. So never think you are better than them. You are a situated resident yourself. So if you want to be respected, you must fight that the situated situation must change so that we are all the same. And when we walk, we can all be respected. Because if there are still blacks who are disrespected, they don't know which ones are those, because to them we all look alike. So you might be one of them. So you must never say, I have arrived. Therefore, I don't care about those who are poverty-stricken. Tomorrow, we will outline how we are going to create jobs, how we are going to change the lives of our people, specific program, specific date of when it can be achieved. We are going to create job opportunities. We are going to say we are going to create so many jobs in this area. This is how it's going to be done. Not when they finish speaking, no one remembers what did these people say. And then somebody says, don't listen to them. The real manifesto is presented by Agrees in Husas. That's their manifesto. So we ought to deal with specifics. We ought to say, this is where we're going to build. This is where we're going to build schools. We can build schools in each and every ward. Why? Because we are able to provide a voting station in each and every ward. So it means you know there are people there. That's why you give them a voting station. So once you say there are people there, I must send a tent. You must ask the question, what else must be sent there? Not only a tent. What pains me, comrades, is that during voting, there are people who are called special voters. It is old people who can walk. It is people who are sick, who are bedridden. They are registered and a ballot paper is sent to them. But on the day of collecting their medication, they are not special. They must go to a hospital and fetch the medication themselves. Why do we know that in that house there is a special person who must receive a special ballot paper? But on the day of giving that person a medication, we do not know the address of that person. The same way we went delivering the ballot paper, that's the same way we must send the medication. This system must be linked. You can't have an IC system and have home affairs system and have hospital system. It must be one system. Once is a special voter. Why a special vote? No, it's a patient. No, it's an old person. Why should an old age be walking to queue in places where they end their social grants? Why can't we work on a mechanism to deliver it to them? In the same way we deliver the ballot paper. If we cannot deliver their money, if we cannot deliver their medication, let's not include them in voting and call them special. We say they are special because we want their vote. It's unacceptable. It's deceiving. It's dishonesty of the highest order, which we ought to deal with under the EFF government. So if you are interested in what we're going to do, tomorrow is the day. We want industrialization. That industrialization must be black-led. That industrialization must be protected. I will never be a president of a country which imports toothpicks. In South Africa, we import toothpicks. Toothpicks. The entrepreneur, business person. Why can't some of you produce those things and we as government protect you from the West and the East? Because there are certain things which we must not allow coming from outside. We must do them here and only here. Why do we allow gas and all these shops which are selling to our people Where our people buy from, we allow them to import everything. We don't need anything, a DP. We just need to sponsor a legislation that says all shops that sells clothes in South Africa, 70% of those clothes must be produced in South Africa. And then from there, it's done. In that way, you're going to support the textile industry, and then you're going to support our own shops in South Africa. Textile industry, which used to create jobs for our people, has collapsed. When I grew up in Sishiu, there were factories where our parents used to work. I 4 o'clock, 4:30, bebatswelela so. Kamau took a group from those factories. Today, those factories are closed. We need to open those factories. We must support the people who are going to use those factories to create jobs for our people. The state must find a way of putting incentives for people who open factories in the townships and say, Muna Urtlompile, you came where people are. Instead of paying 40% tax, maybe 20%, the fact that you came to a township and opened a factory and hired our people, there must be incentives for that. So that we take the factories to where people are. When I the show in the plague over discreto monareksha marochmon. Yellow discreto was producing for big shops. Mara marochonya na ukarabadi mistake I work here with Julius, very young. Ro reka maragira woni pos. Uno magalo wa pergamolo to lay yo tsara kamu. Ur mara buru bana mo buiwa mara. Awa kanike factory fault. Na vera kani factory fault kamu discreto. Those factories were working. Not only in Seshiu, in Kuangoa, in Guyane, in Malotia Pofung, that Kwadwa. Those factories are closed. We must open them and we must compensate those who open those factories. We must create democratic cities. There's no democratic city here. All the cities we have were created by apartheid. There's a place there called Tubaze in Limpopo with huge potential. Why can't we create a city there? Special economic zones. The ANC declared a lot of them housing Pumi, a lot of them. But it looks like there are only 2 or 3 of them that are working, employing 10,000 people. You call it a special economic zone. All combined employs 10,000 people. What is so special about that? Economic special zones must employ more than what this chap of ShopRite employs. Because we can't have Christo Vis employing more than what the special economic zones employs. What's so special about that? Then Christo Vis is special because he's in a special economic zone, that guy himself. Otherwise, we must declare more than that. We must declare special economic zones. We'll do that tomorrow in our manifesto and say these are the areas where if you go and open factories and open the farms, commercial farms, these are the benefits which you will get. Why? That's where people are. Once we kill the unemployment there, we'll reduce it significantly. But by business have a problem, man. Well, they're like South Africans. You tell them we're increasing VAT to 15%, they write on Facebook. After that, you say to them, I saw your status on Facebook complaining about VAT. Arman, nah. Did I write that? They write and forget. That's why they will never go and march for 15%. These business people, once you talk to them and persuade them that this is the right thing to do, they will do it, including the white minorities. They just need a political will. We need a government with political will. Look at what happened before elections. We said we're going to in-source the workers, and anyone who's going to work with us must in-source the workers. The DA said it will never happen. It's going to balloon the budget of the municipalities. The EFF can go to hell. We'll never employ those people. We've employed 10,000 of them in Johannesburg. 10,000. Why? Mashaba wanted to pass a budget, and he needed the EFF vote. You want to pass a budget, and you want EFF vote, come here. We must employ 10,000 security guards directly employed by the municipality. If that is not going to happen, then you will pass budget yourself, alone. Go there, the ANC will finish you off. He agreed. Why? There was a political will. Hey, the budget, there is no money. What money? Let's agree about a political program. Then we go look for money. We can't look for money before. What do you want to do with the money? We agree 10,000 security guards employed directly by municipality. Where can we find the money now? Let's now search and see the useless programs of the ANC and stop them and redirect the money where the money is needed the most. That's what we've done. We've done it in Tshwane. We've done it at Wits University. The national chairperson was the chairperson of the in-sourcing committee at Wits, where we employed cleaners of Wits directly employed by the university away from the companies which were given tenders to clean at Wits. And what makes me more excited, Chair, is that the children of those cleaners, by virtue of their parents working for the university, they will enter the university free of charge. That's a benefit. So more than being interested in the salaries of their mothers, I'm interested that we got the children of the poor to go and learn for free. Only the children of lecturers were learning for free at Wits. Lecturers who are earning more and not needing that benefit were getting it anyway. Those who needed it the most were not having it. Today at Wits, the children of the cleaners have access to education free of charge. I don't care if I die tomorrow. We have changed lives of few people. It doesn't matter. Those who come after me, they will continue. All we needed to do was to change a life of one person. And we've changed it more. When I went to the anniversary in eThekwini, we spoke about Indian racism. And after that, we were insulted everywhere else. After that, we went back to Natal, but we went to Pietermaritzburg. And then I decided to visit a mall there. Some woman came to me and said, Mr. Malema, after your speech in Durban, my employer, the Indian employer, called me and said, are you happy with your salary? And I said, no. Then they said, no, we will increase your salary. And then I said, then she said to them, why? Why all of a sudden change your heart? They said, no, we've heard what Mr. Malema is saying. And most of the time, we don't engage with you guys to see if you are happy. And we listened to that and we thought we must check if you are happy, and if you are not happy, we can negotiate and find a way of increasing your salary. I'm talking to you, Mr. Malema, my salary was increased. That's what we need. Even if that speech changed one person, that's what matters. We've changed a life of an old mother. Now, this is what happened at Wits. When the EFF lost SRC elections, it was not EFF members who were crying. Those mothers we insourced at Wits cried tears. And they were like, we don't know what we can do because we are not allowed to vote. But if these children knew what they did, they've actually insulted us. Literal crying because they knew what the EFF has done for them. Then after that, we went to UNISA, we went to Tegis, we are going everywhere else, including TUT, in Limpopo, there, University of Limpopo. It looks like not even a single person is in source. So it looks like Josie's playing games. Or he's friends with management, they make him understand. So we ought to, we must attend to that agent. So we'll talk tomorrow about our relationship with the media. We don't agree that there must be media tribunal. We don't want that. We want the media to self-regulate. And we want the media to develop a thick skin. Because half the time they get it wrong. And when they are being corrected, they must not be crybabies. And then when the media become embedded, we must expose it. And in exposing them, there's no personal fight about that. Huh? When they said, Feriel says, can she come to the dinner? And so what? She must come. Who said she's not welcome? She must come, but she must know we're going to critique her. And she must go and write, we'll critique her. But one thing she must know, we will never beat her up. We will never throw a stone at her. We'll never call her names. We will just disagree with her and disagree with her robustly. Because we want history to give a correct account that when the media in South Africa was becoming embedded, someone said something and we didn't fold our arms. We are nothing without the media. We're nothing. Because Twitter account and Facebook account, they are not enough. We need the media to investigate. We need the media to expose corrupt activities, including the corrupt activities in the EFF. The EFF is not special. When you report about any person, be factual. Don't go all out to destroy. Once you do that, you have now descended into the arena. You are no longer a journalist, you are a politician. You shall be treated as such. Because you are no longer differently Zuma. We treat her the same way we treat Zuma. They are journalists, man, very senior journalists. We fight with them. You can think of Sophie Mukwena, you can think of Miponi, the secretary of SANEF. SANEF has taken us to court, but we have no problem with Miponi, even if it's a secretary of SANEF. We fight with her. We tell her it's wrong, Miponi. She screams back, we scream at each other. She goes back, she makes a reflection, and she's like, well, it looks like they've got a point. And then she will write a letter to you or an SMS and say, we'll correct it. Not embedded journalism. That becomes Ramaphosa's defense force. You saw what Feriel wrote about, what do you call it? Moses Mabhida. Ramaphosa fills up the stadium. But that was an ANC rally. She doesn't say, you can see that this Ramaphosa, we must do everything in our power to force him through the throats of South Africans. Even when he messes up Ramaphosa, no, he fills up the stadium. Ramaphosa takes 500,000. Feriel should have written a harsh article about Ramaphosa taking 500,000. But this guy has got billions. What is he doing? Why mess up a good name like that by taking 500,000? No. Ramaphosa stands up in parliament, messes up the response. The media says, Ramaphosa says the record straight. And then the same Ramaphosa throws them under the bus. No, I gave a wrong answer. And then they must come again and say, Ramaphosa comes clean. We must not do that. We cannot be journalists of others. Ranjeni, I'm disappointed with Ferial because she's so seasoned, she's too old in the industry, not age-wise industry. She knows the game. But Ranjeni has always been like that, She says she's a regime journalist. Every regime, she's pro it. Until there is a new player in town, then she switches the floor and go the other side. So really, I've got no problems with Ranjeni. I know that's a game. She's like that. If there's going to be DD, Ranjeni is going to write very nice articles about DD. Very powerful. One DD looks differently. You look very beautiful. When you read Ranjeni's articles, you will think, DD is a thinker. DD is not a thinker. That guy has got nothing to offer, nothing at all. But the day he becomes president, Ranjeni will make you think this guy is a thinker. You know, one day in Parliament, what was the question, Floyd? We took a deliberate decision and said, no, we must ask this guy a question on tax avoidance. DD, what is your take on illicit financial flows and tax avoidance and base erosion? Thank you, Honorable Speaker. They can't do that because they need a tax clearance. They need a tax clearance. They want no. Base erosion, tax avoidance, illicit financial flows. Why one or two obsessed with the tender? Tax clearance, tax clearance. The man did not have what we call a national consciousness. So he was fresh from Mpumalanga. So he knows the people who avoid tax, they want tax clearance. That's why I wrote him off. I must go and read Ranjeni's articles about that answer. If she didn't say, DD answers the base erosion question in an intelligent manner. We can't have that. Without our journalists, we're dead, we're finished. So our relationship with media in South Africa is love and hate. It's both confrontational and complementary. Where they do good, we will compliment them. We always do. Where they do wrong, we'll confront them. And we'll do that in a dignified manner, in a manner befitting of being a leader of the EFF. Because in the EFF, we survive through superior logic. And there is no superior logic in using physical harm to others, particularly females. So if you are EFF and you think you are being radical by rough tackling and howling insults, particularly on a female journalist, you must know that you are useless. You are not EFF. We must find you a membership of the Youth League of Oros. That's where you belong. Because in the EFF, we engage one another. Fellow South Africans, we need to also highlight the problems of our continent. We do not exist in isolation. We are part of Africa. Zimbabwe with problems is going to affect South Africa. Congo with problems is going to affect South Africa. So we must make the problems of Africa our problems and not be irritated by an attempt to try and rescue other countries in the continent. We are bound to fail. I've listened to many of you saying, we can't help Zimbabwe, we have nothing to do with Zimbabwe. Let me tell you, the Zimbabweans are going to come to South Africa. There's nothing you can do about it. And when they are here, our hospitals are going to be overwhelmed. our schools are going to be overwhelmed, our roads are going to be overwhelmed because they are not in the budget. To avoid these services that we provide to you being overwhelmed, we ought to help them so that they continue to prosper in their own countries. It's a right thing to do. We ought to stop this xenophobia because it comes from self-hate again. Because the Chinese without papers, you never call them names. The whites without papers, you never call them names. The Indians without papers, you never call them names. Anything that looks like you, the way you hate yourself, you go for it. You want to blame the mirror for your looks. Huh? I pala udula makeup mongwane or no, lighting is a problem. There's no lighting problem. Ke pereke one is ke pereke. Utaba ikrea right. Ska no lighting e phone ya re e phone ya ntata. Ke wena mo snapping it's you. So how about Zimbabwe? Over our people from Mozambique, you see yourself. And if you see yourself and you are happy with yourself, you will not attack them. You won't. You will not attack them because they are a reflection of who we are. We ill-treat them here. We think we're superior here. The world sees us treating black people like that. When we go to America or England or anywhere else, we are not written Zimbabwe. We are black. They think that's how blacks must be treated because we have taught them ourselves how blacks are treated. So if you don't want to be ill-treated outside our borders in the continent, when you leave the continent, you want to be treated with respect, start treating Africans here with respect. We must not, as we fight for a total liberation, forget the people of Cuba. Forget the people of Western Sahara. We must not forget the people of Palestine, who are now treated like visitors in their own country, on their own land. We must be internationalists because the problems of the world affect us. We are now part of the globe. That's why when Americans messed up their banks, we all got affected because we are part of the globe. So we must not be ignorant. If you are young, you are an entrepreneur, stop the obsession with tenders. Get to know your country and the world. Then you will understand the type of battles we are fighting. We are so obsessed with self and we do not appreciate the dynamics all over the world. We become so ignorant, particularly young people in South Africa. So much that we don't even see the importance of voting. One day we were writing the Manifesto check with Mbuyiseni. And then I said to Mbuyiseni, let's line up young people and call them and ask them, what are the things you want to see in your municipality? The first one we called, unfortunately it was a female. She took the phone and gave the friend. After we gave the question, she said, hold on, pass the phone. That one we said the question, said, no, answer, pass the phone. Only to realize later that these South Africans do not know what is a municipality, what are the services provided by municipality. They don't have an idea. So let's appreciate the world dynamics in order for us to appreciate who we are. So that's what we are dealing with tomorrow. I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you, especially our brother, Sipho, the CEO of Telkom, who came with this brilliant idea of a dinner. Because when we engaged him, he said, but you know, I see other parties doing dinners, and you guys don't do dinners. And in Telkom, we don't give people money, don't give political parties money. But if you do dinner, we're able to buy a table and all that. So my table here was bought by Telkom. They paid 1 million for this table. I want to say it here so that it's not a subject of investigation. Some journalist thinking that he's got a scoop. That one of yours, Floyd of VBS, what is her name? Huh? Well, Van Veek, Police Van Veek. You will hear Telkom bought a table for 1 million. They are now going to collapse Telkom after VBS. No. And many of the people you see here, young, black, entrepreneurs bought tables. The cheapest table was 50,000. They bought tables here to support democracy. And we appreciate that. Many donated, bought tables, and said we will not come. And we said we understand. Chef, we do understand. That's where you get your money from. Don't worry. We won't even mention you. Eh? Floyd, I mean, we couldn't imagine that we can sit under the same roof with Praise. Eh? Praise of, what is Praise's company? Tali, now something. Eh? Talana. Tali. Praise Kimkhotsuari, I used to be our friend. When we started EFF, hey President, I've got a festival here at Vendor, but don't come. I was just telling you, don't come please, hey, we're going to be in problems here. And then with time, he found God, Chef. And then Almorai, man, why should we be scared here? Because there's nothing we're doing wrong here. This is who we are. If you know that you are providing a service and you've got something to offer, you won't be scared. Because in your absence, they won't be able to do that which you do. But when they close an opportunity for you, the person who's given that tender is going to come back to you. Arman, Praise, can you do it for me? Why? You've got something to offer. Like a illiterate. Stop doubting yourself. You are a professional, you went to school, and therefore you've got something to offer. And if you don't want to hire me because of the views I hold politically and personally, so be it. Because they want to zombify you. Let me tell you, after buying the table here in the EFF, you must go and buy it in the ANC and the DA if you've got money to buy. You will never receive any criticism from the EFF. You are a business person. Go to each and every manifesto to hear which party has got the best manifesto for my business. Can I continue to invest or not? You must be an educated businessman. So, even artists, I don't care whether you perform in the ANC or DA, go and perform. I won't support your children. Your performance is going to put food on the table. That's what you do for a living. Those who stop artists who perform in the EFF and say you will no longer perform in government activities, they are stupid. Because that stage they are sitting on is a gear house stage, which just moved from the EFF manifesto to an ANC manifesto. But because it's owned by a white person, there's no problem. They are prepared to hire it. Why are they buying in Pick n Pay? Because Malema bought in Pick n Pay as well. Why are they not saying, I'll no longer buy in Pick n Pay because Malema went to buy in Pick n Pay? Hey, you are a lawyer. You are selling like Pick n Pay. You are selling a skill, Pick n Pay is selling food. Go and represent them. But when you are good like Mugai told, and we are about to fight with government, we just take a phone, even if we are not going to brief you, we brief you, hey, Chief, we are going to fight with these people, this is what they've done, and then you listen and then you comment, then we know, yeah, we are done with you. Government won't brief you, because we gave you the brief before. So when they come to you, you are like, hey, the EFF has already spoken to me. Then they will know, yeah, all the good lawyers, we have blocked them. Now they must go to mediocre now. And then we bring the best to come and fight the government. But continue to sell your services to everyone. As long as it's not through corruption. Do it. You have nothing to hide. Don't even be scared when you do it. If you need advice, we can even tell you that, no, this is how you do it, so that you perfect it. You saw the manifesto of the ANC. The sound was terrible. The stage was terrible. Their dinner was horrible. So the service providers there, had they spoken to EFF, would have given them a brief. Because you will see tomorrow, the mother of all rallies, and how things are done proper and professional. So don't be scared and think that you are selling out. You are not selling out, you are looking for the best solution for your business. The last point I want to make is, we're going to be government in June. Yes. Whether you like it or not, we're going to govern. The obvious one which doesn't want your vote, whether you vote or don't vote, Chef, we don't need you, is Twan. You see here, in June we're governing here. Yes, here. We can't go to Joburg, Shem. We love Mashaba. We're going to take Joburg. We love Mashaba. If DA is going to fire Mashaba, we're going to give him an EFF membership and make him a mayor of Joburg. And then we govern Joburg. We love that guy. That guy doesn't want politics. He wants to work. I've never seen a politician putting out a Twitter that says, I'm going to hand over toilets because the EFF has asked for toilets in that area. EFF has identified those poor people. I'm going to put toilets there. We need more Mashabas who work because people need services, not because so and so said, and because it was said by EFF, won't take the toilets there. No. So we need that type of mayors. It was good for Solim Simang to resign, Michelle. And it was non-negotiable. Yagai was very clear, or the guy is going. Whether he resigned or not, the guy was going to leave. Because we need power. We've been training for too long now. Because no, you're gymming. Hey boy. Boy, you don't get my marathon, you don't get gym, Mara, get my marathon. How train? You don't get a comrade marathon, you are. Hey, Riagave, Motswan, Retlova, Mayara, Lady MMC. And then Gamola Joburg, Rogre, the MMC, EFF. Riagave. If it's not negotiable. Hey, get out the Lena Chica Molescana or the negative Tafla Mahala. What is Shannon? So, the Mushu. Hey, the Mushu. Let's work the government. Ah, what Katara Toram Mujavano, Unum Kalagamun Kogamu, Rinako Tara Lery. Error failing Rizami. Regasa Palelo Luza Maris Rizami. We are going to try it. If we fail, we will try again. But we've got men and women who are educated, who are committed to serve the people. I don't care who becomes a mayor. I need a proper municipal manager. It's a waste of time. You need the implementer, the municipal manager. Must be someone who is not easily corruptible, who is committed to deliver services to ordinary people. Oganova mayor a mandis, but if you don't have the administrator, you can't do anything, because when you go to intervene, by law it's an interference, it's illegal. You can only oversee. A mayor, a municipal manager must not be an EFF cadre. It must be a qualified person. If it's an EFF person who's qualified, well and good, it's a bonus. Municipal manager when Baba EFF what's your diploma municipal manager from the EFF. We want a well-capacitated municipal manager who will be able to say to the mayor, no, it's unlawful. It's not done. Not a municipal manager who's going to surrender to political expediency all the time. We are not looking for a politician. We are looking for an administrator. And if Mosola is not that, then he must know that he won't serve under the EFF government. If Mosola is what we are looking for, he will continue to work. We voted to protect Mosola internally because the DA is refusing to take responsibility. It was Solis mess, and they must take responsibility. We don't want a situation where politicians always use administrators as scapegoats. Politicians must start taking responsibility if there is a mess. So we need to protect our administrators. We need to protect especially junior administrators. And if there is corruption, we must whip the head to send a strong message. But if we whip the junior, we're not sending any message anyway. That's why corruption is too high in South Africa. None of the senior people were successfully whipped. We're still with Zuma here. They should be wearing overalls, orange overalls. I want to thank my supporters even. Supporters. By now he must be in jail. So we need administrators. Guys, you are EFF, you are an EFF sympathizer, go to school. Get the necessary qualification. There is no cadre deployment policy in the EFF. In the EFF, we advertise. In the EFF, we go for the best of the best. So that's what we want. Why? Not only EFF members vote for the EFF. And therefore, when you employ only EFF members, you are actually denying your voters an opportunity to serve better. That's what we want to do. And if you are going to provide a service for EFF government, you must make sure you deliver properly. There are no favors there. You must deliver properly. You know, if you are not going to build 5,000 houses when you are given a task to build 5,000 houses, then you must know you can't serve an EFF government. When we give you a tender to build 5,000 houses, because the current system requires tenders until the EFF takes over and scrap tenders, you must build 5,500 houses. Or no, 5,000 yak. Kabaka donate 500 to the poor. That's who I am. We're looking for that type of a business person. Not a business person who's going to build 2,000 houses and say, no, I didn't budget properly, I didn't code properly. That's not our problem. We're not with you when you are filling in a tender document. Going to the price. We're now undercoded. We don't want tender many undercoded. I'll fetch the project. Hey, I underquoted. Hey, I didn't get the price right. Get the price right if you want to work in an EFF government. Otherwise, if you fail to do that, we must learn to blacklist people successfully, not to provide services anywhere if they fail one corner of a country. We need a decisive government. So our policy, in simple terms, is a Chinese policy with South African characteristics. So that which they do in China, that's what we want to do here. Don't second guess us. We're not going to take everything else that they do in China. We'll take those things that work here in South Africa. And by the way, people still make money in China, even under a communist government. Alibaba. So, Alibaba ki company. Motagolo own Alibaba. Chudagi it's a multi-billionaire, at the same time a member of the Communist Party. So the sky to share Jagino is also valid here. After all, join the Max, you can't make money. They are millionaires in China. Doesn't mean under the EFF government there won't be millionaires. Venezuela is failed by the US the same way they tried to fail the Cubans, and they failed because the Cubans still produce the best of the best in the whole world and even help other nations despite the economic blockade imposed on them by Americans. If America leaves the blockade in Cuba, Cuba is going to be the best socialist country. They are now, even when they are under the oppression of America. Obama tried, and this fool came back and reinstated those things because he hates everything else that will uplift the living conditions of the working class. So I know I was brief, Chair. Was I brief? Can I stop now? So I spoke long because everybody else came here and was very brief, so I realized you were leaving the time to me. Because these people can't come here and then they are spoken to for 5 minutes and then they go home. And then I wasted my dress, you know. So there are big companies here, Chair. We can't mention all of them. MTN is here, MultiChoice is here, DSG brought some people as well. And then our Secretary General brought some people as well. Our Secretary General, I like him because he organized an EFF election, Manifesto and list assembly in Bloemfontein, which costed us 2.7 million. And we didn't pay a cent because of that Secretary General. So he's a very good comrade. He takes time, he's also old. But also I think he's got these issues of minority complex. So sometimes Idina lo mushaya so. Mara once I say umatagayo, and then once amatagayo, you know he's going to deliver it. He doesn't have negotiation skills, so when he arrives, he tells you what needs to happen. And then when you give a different answer, he says, no. I can't travel for such a long distance for what you are telling me. I'm saying this is what we want from you. When I leave here, what am I going to tell the president? Commit something, man. Something tangible. And then these people get very scared and like, okay, no, it's fine. No, we hear you, SG, and they deliver. He's a workforce, a workhorse. He delivers, he works very hard, and is the most patient person. There are a lot of people who are now trying to smear his name because they now realize the type of caliber we have. So when they realize now this engine is becoming warm and the car is moving faster, they want to destroy that engine. They will never succeed because we will protect him with everything we have. A car can be beautiful, even a Rolls Royce. If you take the engine out of a Rolls Royce, it's no longer a Rolls Royce. I'll get a rat. Rolls Royce is no engine. We are nothing without our Secretary General. Our Treasurer General was on a sick leave, went through some procedure. The SG had to do both. The Treasurer General's work and his work. And that thing of Treasurer General is the most difficult job to do. Because Usanjo rege toner, Otomo rega toner. One rumela a message or there's no toner. And you are dealing with complex matters. Motono with the SG, there's no tone. I'm dealing with national question. But we need approval. There's nothing we can do. He navigated both offices so well that no one felt there was a gap. So we've got a very powerful engine there. And we've got a very good collective leadership. I was told there are people who are living in the EFF, and journalists thought they had a scoop. So I tweeted one day, I was with some young men then called Blacks, and then we're playing Monada's song, and then we're having our own moment, accompanied by holy water. And then we tweeted in the early hours of the morning our own things. The following day, no, this thing is falling apart. They are now fighting. Dalimpof is going with the Jimmy Man. Where does this thing come from? No, Dalimpof had meetings with Jimmy Man. Okay. No, it's not true. Okay. No, Floyd Shibambo is going. He had a meeting with Jimmy Man. And then they bring a picture of Floyd Shibambo with Jimmy Man. A picture which was taken in 2016 when they were doing a BMF debate. At the BMF which gave Dali an award also. So we're like, but this is an old picture. Then I got a picture of a person with knives at the back. And I stole it on a WhatsApp status. And then I put it there. Yes. This thing is finished. Now he says they are stepping him at the back. Yo, are you fine, my brother? What's happening? South Africa. There is no one who's leaving more EFF. No one. We are here. We are united. You know why? We want to give our generation an alternative. And we're not going to do the COPE UDM arrangement. If there is any man who pains my heart, is that Holomesa. He's got so much potential. Campaign anyway. That guy must just campaign. Okay, at least go Eastern Cape, or Wapal. We don't want to do that. We don't want a UDM. We don't want COPE. We want an alternative to the ANC. And we cannot be an alternative to the ANC if we're not organized and united. Unity is very paramount. We must never divide this organization if we want to defeat the ANC. I said in this strategic committee, which was assigned with the task of destabilization of COPE. So I know what destabilizes an organization. And when I see that tendency, I immediately deal with it because I know what will collapse the EFF. We're not going to do that. Because if we do that, we'll disappoint a lot of people. Those mothers at vet will no longer cry. They will just get heart attack. Because when they see the red beret, they see a hope of the hopeless masses of South Africa. So those of you who are even thinking of dividing the EFF, leave us if we are irritating you. Just think of those mothers at vets. Just think of those security guards before you do that. This thing is an organization. And because it's an organization with different minds and heads, from time to time we're going to disagree. We do that all the time and disagree robustly. You'll even think there is a war. But once we finish and take a decision, it's done. No one remembers what was the disagreement about. And then later on, when we are seated, relaxed after the meeting, that thing becomes a joke, we laugh about it. But the integrity, the image, and the work of the EFF, we take it very serious. It's non-negotiable. You either work or you go. Because the first thing that starts divisions is laziness. If one of us behaves like he's a master, like you are a boss, you must just arrive in a beautiful tent like this, you don't know how it was done. That's how you're going to start fighting amongst yourself. Alternative to the ANC can only come from a collective of hard workers. We need to start practicing now to work hard so that when we take government, it is in our DNA. We're not going to go into government with lazy people who are going to destroy South Africa. Laziness is not only in terms of physical work. You ought to read. You cannot be a leader without theory. Theory without practice is meaningless. Practice without theory, disaster. So we need theory. We need to think and execute the things we think about. So laziness is not only about being physically there. It's about also equipping yourself. You gathered here, including EFF leaders, CCT members who are here. You have a responsibility to contribute to the geography of knowledge. You must be the designers of new ideas, new concepts, new phrases, new language altogether should come from you. You should lead with ideas, not through bossing people and imposing on people because you lack superior logic. Let's win the hearts and souls of our people through ideas, not through violence and dictatorship. We must think. Lazy thinkers, they demoralize because they don't have positive energy and they don't have energy at all. All the time people, when they speak, they say they want positive energy. But there is nothing as tiring as not having energy at all. You don't have a negative energy, you don't have a positive energy. You are just there. So have some energy, man. Even if it's negative, correct. Don't just come empty-handed. The last thing, Ringo is here with these people. They have recorded an album for EFF, election album. We want to thank them. It has got nice 6 songs, which have instruments, and another 6, which is Muzabalas, to accommodate some of us. Because I get so we only listen to political songs. So we've got songs there, very nice. Galwana, your taste is also accommodated. There's a chilled, nice songs there. You'll even think you are in a chess session and things like that. So don't worry, we're all accommodated. So we try to shape to get everybody. So we are the only ones with an exciting campaign. We don't run a negative campaign. We don't disrupt anyone's meeting. We do our own thing. We try to be as relevant as possible because we don't want to create a situation where there is violence in South Africa. Elections should not mean violence. So we must run a clean campaign. Tomorrow, all of you are invited. We are with our people at Giant Stadium. If you want to be safe, arrive at least at 10 o'clock. And then you'll be ushered to your own seats there. That's where history is going to be made, Chairperson. You are right that we're making history tomorrow. That's where the changing of political landscape starts. We're going to paint Gauteng red and ultimately South Africa red. Like South Africa, Gauteng, you know, we're guaranteed to that one you can be rest assured. Last year, in 2016, they got 45%. We said to them, Mandela got to one. Even if Mandela wakes up, he won't rescue this thing called ANC. So Buffalo won't do anything to rescue it here. That's why you see the ANC in Gauteng is well behaved. Our move on no problem. No, because Baba Nine, hey, Okaru are going to need these people after the elections. So here in Gauteng, the EFF is guaranteed. Is the EFF going to win Gauteng or not? No, we're talking about percentage. Or is it 52 or 53? But no, why do you go to a small stadium? Guys, to book FNB stadium is not less than 3 million. Without anything, stadium, 3 million. Then you must have a pitch cover, which goes for 1.2. There is no bus there, nothing. That's number one. It's extremely expensive. The same goes to Orlando Stadium. The second point is, why not in Soshanguve? Shouldn't we hold rallies where people don't have beautiful stadiums? Are we going to deny people an opportunity to host national rallies and make history on the basis that they do not have beautiful stadiums? A rally is not a stadium. A rally is people. And we're going to see people tomorrow at Soshanguve Giant Stadium. Thank you very much.